Welcome to the Real Biz Solution podcast. This podcast is where we find the hidden rot in real businesses and we work through with practical solutions needed to fix those issues. No fluff, just mechanics. Today, we have Chris Galli, a top one mortgage lender in the industry. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Jason, for having me. Excited about this.
Well, it's an honor to have you on here. And I first just want to kind of jump on here and just tell us about yourself and essentially, how did you get into the mortgage industry?
You know, you might not believe this, but when I was a kid, I wasn't dreaming about being a mortgage banker. It was probably the furthest thing from my mind up until the day I got the job, to be honest. So a little bit about myself, you know, blessed with a beautiful wife who's actually my business partner for the last 24 years now. We've been working together. I've been in the mortgage industry for 30 years. It'll be 30 years coming this next spring. So 29 years right now. I got into the mortgage business in 97. I was just 22, 23 years old. Was blessed to fall into it. Before I get into the path to mortgages, I can tell you this. I have three great kids. I got a son, Anthony. He's 26 years old, doing really well, works at a law firm up in Tampa. I got a middle son who's 21. He's at FS. He wants to be a doctor. And then I have my little princess who's 13 years old, and she's still here. Fortunately, I still have one at home. So one of the things that's the most important to me, my number one job in life is to be a first Christ follower. Second is good father and husband, right? So those are my main job in life, I believe, is to be the best provider, husband, and father that I can be. Second would be the number one top mortgage banker in the country with my experience. And how I got into the mortgage industry is a little bit unique. I was actually owned a little car dealership. I was young. I had my own little business. Always been an entrepreneur, by the way, Jason. Started working literally when I was 10 years old. I had a paper route of 150 customers, and it was the biggest paper route for my brother and I, who was a year and a half younger than me. We were the youngest to have such a large paper route. But what that taught me, which again extended here to what I do today in the mortgage industry, was how to be resourceful. Grew up very poor. I mean, beyond poor. We were on my mom needed support through the government welfare. I mean, I had the government milk and cheese, which got me to about 6'3", 220 pounds. Thank God for that, all that milk and cheese back in the day. But we had no money. And, I knew if I needed a bike, if I wanted to buy baseball cards, all those things that kids did in the 80s, I needed to do it. But what I learned was through that paper route is my clients became my customers. I didn't know I was an entrepreneur at that time. I just kind of fell into it, right? Those clients, some of them became my customers to mow their lawns in the summer. Some of them became my clients to rake their leaves in the fall. I was shoveling their steps in the winter. So I had this multi-level types of businesses and verticals that came from one business alone, which was the paper route. Fast forward, I did all side jobs, all growing up through high school. And then when I got out of high school, I wanted to go in the Marines. Went in the Marine Corps. I wanted to be a Marine since sixth grade, Jason. You and I had this conversation. I won't go deep into it, but due to some trouble that I had when I was in high school, I was discharged with a legal separation, which crushed me. I was 21 years old at the time. I had no plan B, like none. There was no plan B for me. It was devastating for me. Like they told me to go home, straighten some affairs, and then go back and redo it again. Which at that time, when I got out, I opened up a car business. I knew I wasn't really hireable. I didn't have college. I wanted to make a lot of money. So I knew the only path for me at that time was for me to do something I could do myself, which was I sold cars. I had a little car lot, and we had a client that came in and bought a car, Jason. It was awesome because I would have never even thought of a mortgage business at this point. I'm 21, 22 years old, 22 at the time. Had my car business for about a year, and this guy came in and he says, "You don't belong in this business, man. You're too good for this business." And we were selling a ton of cars. I was just good at relationships. I don't want to say I was a good salesman because I really never considered myself selling anything. I tried to always take an approach of consulting. I like people to buy from me, I didn't want to sell something to anybody. So he was in the mortgage business, and I'm like, buddy, you don't understand. I barely got out of high school. Math wasn't my strong suit in school. And at that time, he pulled out, he's like, let me just show you what I made last week. And his check was, I believe it was somewhere around $6,800 for a week of
Yeah.
work. And my
Wow.
mind was blown. I was like, now I'm sizing them up, because I'm always sizing people up. Like, if this guy can make $6,800 in a week, man, I'd be happy if I could make $6,800 in a month. That'd be good money to me right now. Right. So I talked with him. I said, well, where do you work? He told me the company he worked for, and it was the best company for me at the time, Jason. I went in to talk to the owner of, not the owner, but the branch manager of a company called Green Tree Mortgage. They were kind of like a subprime lender, high interest rates. Again, I was young. I didn't know anything about a mortgage. At that time, Jason, I didn't even have a credit card. I was taught that if you can't buy it cash, you don't buy it, which I didn't realize could hurt me, because they didn't want to hire me. This guy interviewed me. He said, why don't you come in and listen to the guys? Maybe one day next week when you have some time off, come in the afternoon and listen to the guys on the phone. Because it was more of you're telemarketing, right? You're
Yeah.
calling people, asking if you can reduce their rates and stuff like that. So I was so all in at that point. And I'm like, you know what? I had a business partner. I said, listen, I can sell you I was already saying I'm out. I told him, why don't you buy me out? I think I'm going to do this mortgage thing. So I literally went in that Tuesday at 7 a.m. I was there before anyone else. I had my briefcase. I was all dressed up, and this guy had told me to come at night. And I put a picture of, at the time, my girlfriend and I never had pictures of us, but I went out and bought a frame, and I put a picture in the frame, put it in my briefcase, went to the office, and he's like, Chris, he's like, I thought I told you to come in at night. I'm like, oh, I had the whole day off. I figure I'll shadow everyone for the day. And I didn't make eye contact with them because I just wanted to get in that office. And I had already been in there with the interview, so I know they had empty desks. And I walked in, I said, listen, where should I sit? And he pointed at an empty desk. I went to that desk, I opened up my briefcase, I took that picture of me and my girlfriend out, and I slapped that baby on the desk, and I said, I'm not leaving. This is my desk from here on out. And the rest was kind of history. So that's how I started in the mortgage business. But very quickly, my friends and I, we all raised each other. I've been on my own since 14. So I've been really resourceful in my life, knowing how to figure things out. And, my friends were the same, right? So my friends ended up coming to work for the same company. So we all worked in the mortgage industry for about a year and a half. And at that point, we said, wait a minute, we're making these people a lot of money. And we're still making a lot of money. I think the first year I made a little under 100 grand at 22 in 1997. It
Wow.
was actually 98 was the full year. And that was
Wow.
really good money for
Wow.
a young kid with no college education. I mean, I was very blessed to do that. But we figured out really quick we could open up our own company. So me and my buddies opened up our first mortgage company in 99. I mean, I was just a kid.
Wow.
I had 23, 24 years old, slinging mortgages. I mean, I think our first year we brought in over probably $2-3 million our first year with our
Wow.
little company.
That's
And
awesome.
we killed it. We opened up a net branch for a company, and we were the number one branch for 2 years straight. Like, we blew everybody across the country out of the water because we were hungry. And I learned how to do the business from the beginning, the front end of it, to the back end, which I know you're going to ask me some questions. So if you keep listening, you'll hear how I think people should learn this business if they're interested in it. But the way I learned was how to structure a loan from the front end of it all the way to the back end of it, meaning take that loan from the start all the way through to the end, to the finish. And it was how to stack a file. This was before technology. We had stacks of files about this thick that we used to have to save and keep in order. We have to put documents in order. So it was the best training, Jason, that someone like me could have had, because I learned how to do a very strict process. And there was a strategy behind how to put these files together. So if I needed to go back to a file, I could find documents that I needed. But that's pretty much how I started in the business. I started from the ground level, learning from the first phone call all the way in, how to stack the file, process the file, and then send that file into underwriting, and then ultimately close it. So it was an awesome experience for me to learn it. And then opening up our own company by 99 was pretty amazing for a young kid that came from nothing, who's been on his own since he was 14, 15 years old. And the rest is pretty much history. And then being able to bring my wife on board with me, working for me with one of my offices I opened in 2003, 2003, I ended up hiring my wife at the time. I was just dating. And I would
Yep.
love to go into a little bit how that dynamic worked as well, because I know there's plenty of people out there that watch that say, one, I could never go into business with my wife, or two, how do you do it? I would love to go into business with my wife. I just don't know how that would work. And definitely, there's ways to do it on the front end. And unbeknownst to me, I had a strategy that worked, where I had upfront contracts in the beginning of our relationship, and we were just dating at the time. And I said, when we cross this threshold of this building, I'm your boss. I'm not your boyfriend. Like, this is business. We're in a customer service business, and you're going to have to be okay with having hard conversations. And, I leveraged that conversation for the rest of our career, because there was times where when we were married, she'd be like, I just want my husband. I said, listen, this isn't a place for your husband. This is a place of business, which, obviously doesn't go over well too much. But when you remind them of the upfront contracts that you had, it wasn't a surprise. We had set that up in the beginning of our working relationship. We had our regular relationship, but now we have a working relationship. Those are two different things. And I think it's very important that people that want to go into business together, they need to make sure there's a separation with that.
Yeah, I completely understand. Me and my wife, we're in business together, and I kind of look at you in a way, and I see, how, you guys have been doing it, what now? Almost 26 years since is it
Yeah.
99, right? Is it
Yeah.
26,
Well,
27
no,
years?
no, I brought her in 2003. So I think it's been 24, almost
24.
24 years
Wow.
now. Yeah.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I will have to say that, going through that with your wife is unbelievable. I believe that we should do a lot of things with our wife. They're our partners for life. So, I give you guys amazing kudos for that, because that is awesome that you guys are able to work together on that level.
Oh, blessed. But
So let me
that's
let me
the
ask
thing,
you.
Jason.
Go
I'm just
ahead.
going to throw this piece in there just so people
Yeah,
understand this.
yeah,
The one thing I've never understood, the same thing as you, is
yeah.
I hear people say, I could never work with my wife, or I could never work with my husband. And my thought process on that, hopefully it can change the way some people think, is I
Mhm.
bring them back to when they were a kid, when you were a kid, right? Imagine back, you're 10 years old, 12 years old, 15 years old. Who did you want to hang out with all the time? You could have hung out with your best friend every day, all day. You didn't care if you went home or not. They're sleeping over your house. You're sleeping over their house. You don't even think about going home, right? You want to be with your
That's
best
right.
friend.
That's right.
Now, fast forward, you make this huge commitment to someone, for better or for worse, sickness or through health. You're like reading these vows to this person. And then you say at the end of the day, I couldn't imagine working with you or doing
Yeah.
life with you. I never understood the concept. So I always try to bring people back to that. This is the person that you're building your life with. No one
Mhm.
has a more vested interest in our success than my wife. And I don't
Exactly.
have, there's no one else I have a more vested interest in than my wife. She should be my best friend. Now, is it sunshine and rainbows every day? No, 100% not. We have our battles, but through and through, thick and thin, who do I want to have by my side? I want to have my wife, my best friend. I didn't even share a bed with my best friends when I hung out with them, right? I slept on the couch or on the floor, right?
Yeah.
This is the person I share a bed with. I think that that's the most important person. That should be the person you want to do life and business with, not just life with, your business, because no one should have a more vested interest in your success as a family unit than your spouse, whether it's your husband
I
or wife.
completely agree with you 100%, Chris. And so, since that time frame, you've been in the mortgage industry, we're saying now about 25, 26 years, roughly
29.
29 years. What has been your biggest lesson since becoming a mortgage lender?
Well, like everything in life, things are evolving. I mean, I'm now at the age where I've seen some juggernaut businesses go under because they never evolved, right? You got your
Mhm.
blockbusters, you got these big companies that just didn't want to evolve in their business. And, the one thing that I think that I've learned from the mortgage industry, yes, mortgage is a mortgage, but with the way that things evolve, you always have to be learning. You
Mhm.
have to be in your craft every day. I never sit on the sidelines. People could never say, he just has the business coming to him. I'm working, I'm grinding. And I love what I do. So it's not a grind per se to me, but I'm in my business every day. I lead a team of a little under 20, and I have to lead by example. I always say I lead from the front. I want people to say, if I'm going to be in a foxhole, that's the guy. I want people to, one of the first names they think of is, I want to be in that foxhole with that guy, Chris, because I know he's going to go to bat. He's going to walk the walk. He's going to talk the talk. So if you're going to get into any industry, I don't care if it's mortgages, real estate, you're going to sell widgets. You want to know as much as you can about that business. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you're just not a sole practitioner and you're the one doing the sales, you want to learn quickly how to delegate. You want to get out of the mundane responsibilities that you could pay someone a short dollar for, to focus on the high dollar turn that you should be focusing on. And in my case, it would be production of business, right? How to generate more business. That's my strong point. It's whether it's in creating relationships. Figuring out AI is a big one for us right now, because I know if I can figure out AI better than anyone else in my industry, my industry, I'm going to duplicate myself by 100.
Exactly right.
You have to always be learning, man. I don't care what it is. Products change, guidelines change consistently. And if you're not on top of it, or you don't have someone in place to always be monitoring that, to bring you that information, whether it's you getting it yourself, which is fine. If you don't have those resources yet, you're building towards those. B, if you do, put that person in place that's coming to you, almost like a paralegal, right? You need to get some casework studies. You have your paralegal get you everything, gather all the information and bring it to me. Right.
Yeah.
So for me, it's always learning and learn how to delegate.
Which is a lot of people they're not able to execute that. So that right there. If you can execute that, that will separate you from a lot of the people that are out there, because they just don't have the ability to execute on specific tasks that need to be completed.
Someone wants to run all the things themselves. Like, why would you, if I'm an airplane pilot, for example, right? Why? I'm not going to be delivering the peanuts and the soft drinks.
Correct.
You don't want me to deliver the peanuts and the soft drinks. You get someone to do that. You need me flying the plane.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
You don't want me out of the cockpit. So so many people get stuck and I have to do everything and be in control of every little aspect, and they never grow. They don't flourish because they're stuck in doing all the minutia and all the tasks that they can have someone else do for pennies on the dollar, and they can focus on the one thing that they can do that actually in most businesses, I would consider that to be, bringing in, producing income, right?
Yeah.
However that is, however that looks like in your business, right? Yeah. But maybe it's recruiting. Maybe that's a big part of how you generate business. You're a top recruiter. It doesn't matter, but whatever it is, you do what you're strong at, and you get the people that are stronger at the other things than you, and you pay a lot less than wasting your time doing it.
Yeah, that's a very solid point you're making there, Chris, because I'm all about that as well, as far as like, why would you spend your time doing the monotonous details in the everyday grind, the social media, the if you're writing a blog or whatever it might be. People, I completely agree with you as far as the fact that you need to be able to outsource those services that essentially it's growing the bottom line, but also you also have to sit on the phone and make calls and ensure that these mortgages are getting through, right? And because that's your bread and butter, but you still know you need social media, you still know you need SEO, you still know you need these other aspects of your business, but you just can't do it all, right?
Correct.
And so when you learn the concept of, outsourcing a lot of these skill sets, that's when I believe you're going to see exponential growth in any business that might be. So since then, like being a mortgage lender, what do you believe is the biggest misconception that people have about mortgage lenders?
Well, I don't know. I hope I'm going to answer the question in the way that you want the question that you're asking. But I think the biggest misconception for most consumers that are out there about about getting a mortgage, I would say, is they have no clue what it takes to get pre-approved. I've had so many clients throughout my career that like
Mhm.
qualified, uh, easily qualified, but had no clue that they could qualify for a mortgage. So even with all the information that's out there, I mean, I still have clients today we know how much information is out there that still think you need to put 20% down to buy a house. I mean, as simple and crazy as it sounds to some people, there's a lot of people that do believe that. So they don't think that the path to home ownership is easy and accessible to them. And let me kind of frame that out for you, what that really looks like. Let's just say that you're the person like I was, right? I was the person who thought I could never be a mortgage banker because I come from a poor family. I don't know anything about mortgages. My family rented generations of all this stuff. Home ownership isn't for me, or doing mortgages wasn't for me. That's way above my pay grade, right? The misconception is get yourself educated, and whether that's find somebody in the industry that can help you. If you're the person that sits on the fence and maybe you think of mortgage people, maybe some people think of them as car salesmen. I don't know what people think of them in general, but they don't want to be hounded. And there's a lot of great, I think the shakedown back in 2009, 8, where it kind of cleansed the palate, if you will, on our industry, kind of shook out a lot of the bad actors. There's going to be bad actors in every business that you have right now. So you're going to hear horror stories. And I
Mhm.
think that a lot of those horror stories happen in that process because you got to think about it, man. This bank is about to give you $500,000 or $200,000. Wrap that around your brain for a minute, right? Someone's going to give you 300. They're risking and saying, I trust that this person's going to repay me on this note. That's a pretty big responsibility if you really
Yeah.
wrap your brain around it, right? I mean, go ask your friend for $1,000 tomorrow. See if you're going to get it.
Yeah.
You're asking a complete stranger for $500,000 in this market here where we live. I mean, our median home sales around 650,000. So think of yourself as putting only the minimum down, right? Say 530,000, and you're going to borrow $470,000. You're going to have to jump through some hoops. And I think the misconception is it's just not handed to you. There's a path to get there, and you have to be educated along the way to understand that, yes, you got to go through the steps to get there, but they're very simple. I always tell my team, we're not flying rockets to the moon, guys. We're lending money. There's a series of things and actions that take place in order for us to get you there. And if you want, I can share that with you in the matter of 2 minutes, not even, probably 60 seconds on what that looks like. And really, if you're in this industry and you're looking to buy a home or buy a second home, buy an investment property, the test to get there is very simple. We can use half of your income to approve. So let's just say you're a W-2 employee and you don't think you can buy a house. You make 100 grand a year combined, whether it's you by yourself or two of you, you make 100 grand. We'll keep it simple. Most people make a combination of about 100 grand a year. That's a 50,000 salary for each person, just a normal middle of the road family. That's $8,000 a month coming into your home, right? And on a high level, to get you approved through a conventional loan, I can use 50% of that income, right, to qualify you for this home loan. That means $4,000 has to cover all your revolving debt, which is credit card debt, all your installment debt, which would be cars, boats, motorcycles, student loans, and your new housing expense, which would be mortgage payment, principal and interest, taxes, property taxes, insurance, and then if you're only putting 5% or less than 20% down, PMI. And then in Florida, HOA, right? So you add all that up. So now let's do this at a high level. You got $4,000 coming in a month. You have $10,000 of credit card debt. Rule of thumb, and you guys can rewind this part, take the transcript of it, because this is as easy as it is. You got $10,000 of credit card bills. What reports to the credit report is usually 3% of your balance.
Wow.
So if you got $10,000 of credit card debt, that's $300 a month in bills and payments. Whether it's one card, 3 cards, 4 cards, 3% of the balance, typically what they report. Let's say you have a car payment of 500. You only have one car in the house. You own the other car. You got one car payment, $500. So right now we have a total of $800 going out the door between the car and your credit card debt. Let's not add anything. Let's not make it confusing. There's no student loans. There's nothing else. Just those two things: a car payment, credit card debt. Now we've already established that we got about $4,000 to qualify you for, and now we just subtract 800 from that, right? You got the 500 for the car, 300 for the credit cards. That gives me $3,200 for a mortgage for your housing expense. So you can't have a higher housing expense than $3,200. You would fit into the box. And this is a hypothetical picture, but if you keep it simple, right? This is what the people misunderstand. I don't know how you get to that, but it's so simple. If someone just sits and takes the time with you, literally, I just did it with you guys in a minute, right? And obviously we're going to look at a credit score. We're going to look at, what is your ability to repay? Yes. Do you make timely payments? But what is your score? Because you can make your payments on time, but be overextended on all your credit card debt, and then your scores are lower. And that's a whole other conversation. But these are the things that I look at and we like to explain to borrowers. So when they're done with the process, and I think for anyone who wants to get into this business, this is what you want to be. You want to be the expert in your field, and you want to be a teacher. And I think that's been part of our success, is we really take the care to walk people through the why to the what's. Like, I'm asking you for this document because this is why we're asking for it. We need it for this reason. So there's a clear path on why we are asking for the documents that we're asking for, and why we're asking you to send updated stuff. So there's a clear understanding on every step of the process, which is ultimately very simple. I have money coming in the house and I have money going out of the house. As long as we can keep that ratio around 45, 50%, you're going to be able to buy a home for whatever that remainder amount is. What we find, Jason, is a lot of people are approved for a lot more than they want to pay, right? Because if you're approved for a $700,000 mortgage, you might not want that $5,000 a month payment. That's where we have a lot of misunderstanding. Someone's like, I don't want to pay more than $3,000 a month. Perfect. Well, then you fit into this box for a loan for $350, or whatever that loan amount would come to. So I think people's biggest misconception in our industry would be like, I don't think I could get a rate. And two, who do I choose? I mean, I'm seeing all these crazy teaser rates online. Someone told me I can get 2%, which doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Or if you're working with a builder, sometimes they do have some teaser rates. So it's really getting a good understanding on what you're getting and why you're getting it, and talking to somebody that can walk you through it. So you really do have an understanding at the end of it. It's not like, oh, I just did this mortgage. I had no clue what I did. It was a nightmare. We didn't close on time, and blah, blah, and all this stuff that you hear from other people, which then deter people from even trying, because they don't want to go through what their buddy went through.
Understand. So what do you think has changed the most in the mortgage industry within the last 5 years?
Well, I think the last 5 and even 10 years, I think what's been good for the industry, but also has hurt our industry, and I see it with even my team, is technology, right? So if I bring you back into the early 2000s, when it was crazy and heydays, when I would take an application, I would have to sit across or get on a phone call with a client, and I have to listen to everything and ask all the right questions. What technology's done in our industry is it's kind of brought us back to where we get lazy. We send a link to a client and expect them to fill it all out. Honestly. And when I say that, I don't mean people try to lie on purpose. I don't say that. But sometimes people think like, oh, I don't think that bankruptcy shows up on my credit report. I'm not going to put that just in case I can slide it through. And then it creates big problems 2-3 weeks into the transaction, where you uncover these things. And that's where we hear a lot of nightmares. Like, I don't understand why this is happening now. Well, why it's happening is because your bankers or your mortgage originators, your loan officers, they're not taking the time they need to, because they're using the technology, which is great, but they're not technically doing their job. And that's something that we've been really working with our team with, is like, take the time to have the initial call with the client and ask all the questions, so we can uncover some of these things that come up down the road early. And as good as technology is, it's definitely a blessing, but it definitely is a curse it's a double-edged sword. It's if you use it to your advantage to help you with things and processes, but still do the work that you need to do on the front end, it can be very useful and resourceful. And again, AI has been a big one that over the last 5 years that's come into play,
Mm.
even for our business that we use, and that we're kind of leveraging some of the old school stuff with the new school stuff, meaning, I can record a call, right? I can record a whole call with a client and ask all the questions. I'm not just sending them a link. I'm taking the care to ask all the qualifying questions. I get a transcript, right? And then I can get this in-depth summary, right, of that call. So I have all the information on what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Whereas instead of me just sending a link, having them fill it out, maybe make a mistake, and now I'm dependent on this technology. I'm depending on technology, right? Where I think we don't depend on technology, we use technology. And I sit in the seat where I'm going to use technology to my advantage to duplicate myself and to provide a hands down platinum service above everyone else, to take over ground, take market share, right, in my markets by leveraging it, but still doing a better job on the front end and allowing it to do its work rather than looking for it to do all my work, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
That makes completely sense. So do you feel as if the market is difficult right now?
I never find it difficult. I mean, many of you know in the real estate, especially here in Florida, I mean, we've had a dip in business, obviously due to the market conditions, right? The rates were high. People were waiting for rates to drop. I think that's kind of past us now. I think people realize the rates aren't going down. It's been 4 years. The rates
Yeah.
have not
Yeah.
really dropped. If anything, they're kind of staying where they are. But I definitely see a shift in. I think we had over 300 licensed mortgage bankers, and now we're a little over 100,000, maybe. I mean, we lost probably more than 50% of our competition. But you got to think in those heydays, you get people that are coming off a Friar later to do mortgages. You know
Yeah,
what I
for
mean? You got
sure.
an
Yeah.
influx of people coming into an industry. Same thing
No.
we see in real estate agents. I think Manatee and Sarasota County, they have a combined like 9,500 real estate agents. And we know all those agents don't do all the work, right? Maybe I wouldn't even say it's the 80-20 rule. I think it's probably like a 90-10 rule that 10% of them are doing the business. So really, I think the people that stay focused on learning, focused on how they're going to go attract a new business, and they're out there working and getting the exposure they need, having the education on how to be the most proficient at their job, whether it's mortgage banking, real estate, or again, selling widgets, right? If you do your steps, there is no way that you will fail. You can't. It's the universal law, right? For every action, there's an equal to opposite reaction. If I put the work in, I put the studying in, I can't, at least that's my perception. I can't fail, right? If I can work out, I hate using the word work because I love what I do. If I can outwork you, you're never going to compete with me. I don't look at any of my competition as competition. I just don't. I don't look in my rearview mirror to see how close they are to me because I know I'm going to be miles ahead of them if I just focus on the goal. Be the
Yeah.
best banker I can, be the best communicator I can, understand my products and my programs so I can best serve whoever's coming to me at that time, best serve my clients, best serve my referral partners. How's that communication chain look? All of the above things. Now, and how do you handle the problems when they come up? Because they are always going to be problems. And it's a very emotional sale, Jason. You know, you bought houses. It isn't like you're going to buy a bike or a car. You can live without that car. It's not like you don't have a place to sleep if you don't buy that car. If that car doesn't close
Correct.
on time. So, I
That's
mean,
right.
this is where people live. This is where, you got to understand this is where people raise their families, or even if they don't raise their families, this is where people find their peace and solace at night if they're single, right?
Mm.
They
Yeah.
work and grind all day. They go to this place they call home to have their place of solace. And I play a role in that and helping them get that. So I got to take a lot of care in that. And I got to take that responsibility as a big deal. And I think anyone who gets in this business, they should do the same. And if they do, they're going to be successful.
So where do you see the industry heading over the next few years?
That's an interesting question, Jason.
Yeah.
So where I find the industry going in the next few years, I mean, I still think there's a shakedown, right? I still think there's going to be people that are coming out of it, people that aren't embracing the technology in the right way, right? If you're not embracing AI, if you're not embracing some of this stuff, you can survive, but you're not going to thrive, right? So there's going to be a lot of survivors in our industry. And
Mhm.
what I would tell people is, if I was shopping for a home or a mortgage, I really don't want to work with someone who's surviving, because I
Mhm.
believe if you're working with someone who's surviving, you're going to pay the price one way or
Mhm.
another,
Mhm.
because you're either getting them their only check of the month, right? So they're desperate, right? Two, you might not be getting the best deal because they don't know what they're just putting you into the product that best fits and serves them. So I think if you're in this industry, you need to embrace the technology, understand communication, and you have to be able to provide the programs that are readily available to others. You have to be able to blanket and have a platform where you offer you have an offering for every client, whether it's a first time home buyer, second time or third time home buyer, someone who's buying a second home or an investment property. You need to be able to fill the void in all different areas to keep those people, and be specific with managing your database, right? What are you giving to your past clients to have them come back to you or send you referrals? What value adds are you adding to them? For us, we give I give a certified like market analysis every month to my clients, so they see exactly where the rates are at. What does it look like if you refi today? What does it look like if you sold today? What is that house worth? You have to always add value to your, not only your current clients, because there's so much information out there right now. If you're not checking at least three of the five boxes, you're surviving, and then ultimately you'll be out of the business. So I do think there's still a little bit more people that will be weeded out that are still waiting on these big, huge rate drops that are probably not going to happen again. I don't have a crystal ball, but the experts have been wrong on this. But I don't see a huge rate drop in the next couple of years. So I think we're still going to sit in this pattern. And those people that are wishing and hoping, same as the clients that are wishing and hoping for this, that are going to continue to pay rent of $2,000 a month at 24 grand a year, throwing that money out the door, right? Every single month, you're throwing that money out the door. So get with the people that are educated and that can pour into you and teach you. And then if you're a banker or a mortgage originator, make sure you're working on the right team where you're going to get educated and you're going to be, on the forefront of new things, and have a good understanding, good support team on the staff on the back end. So I think you're going to see some people still falling out of this business, but you're also going to see some good people coming in to offset that. And it's going to be important on where you go and how you do your business, for sure.
So what do you believe, like, when it comes to mortgage professionals, what do you believe, like, is some of the top things that keep them awake at night today?
Well, I can tell you what keeps me awake. I'm in it, right? I'm vested with these people. There's times where things get tight on approvals where, man, if you don't have thick skin, do not get into this business. Like I said, it's a very emotional business. And a lot of people, and I have them come to me because honestly, people know I'm not the smartest bull out there. I'm not. I'm a pretty simple guy if you really look at it. I keep things very simple. I do things very simply. And I think that's the way to do it. But people will look at me and be like, oh, he can do it. I can do it. It's not
Yeah,
It's not for the faint of heart,
for
because
sure.
they don't see what I do when the
Yeah,
lights are off.
exactly.
They don't see me reading the books, getting my mindset right in the morning, waking up in the Bible in the morning, and being grateful. The things that have nothing to do with the business,
Yeah,
right? The things that
yeah,
keep my mind sharp, right? Because I'm going to be battling it out every day with underwriters. I'm going to be battling it out with appraisers. I'm going to be battling it out. And I know, and I hate to use the word, I'm going to war. I'm not going to war per se, but I'm going to battle to
mhm,
get this loan approved.
for
I'm going
sure.
to go to battle and bat for the client. I got to make sure, my job is to make sure we're good with the bank too, right? I got a responsibility to write good loans. And I have to have hard conversations with people early on. I think another thing that people don't do in this business enough is have those hard conversations up front, because they need to feel to be liked or whatever. And then what happens is we hear about the bad experiences because you didn't want to have those hard conversations on the front end. Me, the way I teach and the way I work is I ask all the questions on the first call. Everything. I cover every little thing. And if I hear a red flag, I dig into it. I dig into that and I try to peel it, try to figure out, is this a problem or is there a solution to it? And in this business, if you want to get in this business, you got to learn how to have thick skin and ask really good questions and ask a lot of questions, because we're not in the telling and, saying and spraying business. I'm going to sit here and talk. I need to ask a lot of questions to understand your situation.
Well, if there was one thing that you could fix in the industry overnight, what do you believe that might be?
I think the upfront communication, and Jason, that's a great question, because I'm working with our corporate office. We're a national bank, right? We write loans. I write loans in all 50 states. And the big thing that I can even see on my immediate team is, I call it the first 48 hours, right? If I'm a loan officer, I get a referral from a real estate agent. Let's say they got somebody that wants to be a first-time home buyer. If I'm just quick to send them a link, let them fill it out, and I'm just going to have my team do the stuff, which most people do now, I'm going to have a lot of problems in that deal. What is it going to do? It's going to mentally take me into the basement, right? And I don't know about you, but when you have a bad day,
Yeah.
how hard is it to get out from the basement and back onto the first or second floor mentally? It takes time to reset and to regain and be productive again. So my one fix would be, how to fix that is that front end conversation. If I do a really good job on that front end conversation, my team can pick up the ball and run with it, because I covered all the bases. Now, if there is a problem, because there will be, I won't go to the basement. You want to know why? Because I have a transcript. And if you weren't honest with me somewhere, I can go back and revert to that and say, you never shared that with me when I asked you. I take it off of me. Now, if I don't ask the right questions and then a problem comes up, I'm in the basement trying to scramble to fix it, because I have no leg to stand on. So what I would fix, what I think is broken in our industry, is the way people have their upfront conversations with the people that are looking to buy a home. I believe a licensed banker should take time and care, at least 15 to 30 minutes with each client, and ask all the appropriate questions on what it takes. Again, I'm not flying a rocket to the moon. I need to figure out what you make in the last 2 years of your income. I need to make sure there's no gaps of employment in there. Like, if I don't ask you that, Jason, say I was working with you, for example, and I just sent you my link, and the last 2 years you had a 3-month gap of employment because you switched jobs, but you're on my app. Are you going to tell me that you had 3 months like with no income? Or are you going to be like, oh, I worked from here to here and then I got this job? You're probably going to do what 90% of the people do and not tell me about that gap. And then when I'm calculating an income a week or two into it, I'm going to say there's a discrepancy and I can't get you. For whatever reason, now the ratios don't work the same. The flawed, broken piece in this is using the technology and not using it to your advantage, to where we still have a fiduciary responsibility to the client to make sure that we're giving them the highest level of communication and understanding on what they're trying to do by asking the right questions. And it's our job to do that. So the broken part I see in our industry is those front end conversations that they're not being had anymore. Everyone's depending on technology to do it. And then that's where we see and we hear a lot of problems. I save a ton of deals that come to me because they fell apart somewhere else. And then I pick up the ball. And it's probably about 15% of our business is failed loans from other banks. And when I look at them, it's simple. They just didn't ask the right questions on the front end, or they just never asked and they didn't find out till too late. So broken part of our business is the communication part on the front end of that initial application.
So that's where it gets bottlenecked, is what you're saying, on the front end?
Well, it's not done correctly on the front end. And then it gets bottlenecked by week 2 when the underwriters look at it and they go through it. And then what happens is the client and the realtors, they'd be like, why are you finding this out 2 weeks later? And the reality is the answer should be this, Jason. You know why? Because I was a lazy banker and I didn't ask the questions up front. But that's not the answer they say. What they say is like, well, underwriters found that you had, the income wasn't right. Or underwriters found that there was a foreclosure when they ran a MERS report.
Yeah.
Well, why are they finding out? Because if I was a professional, mortgage originator or banker or loan officer, I should have asked these questions in the first phone call. We would have found all this stuff out if I would have asked the qualifying questions up front. And we wouldn't have even had to wait 2 weeks, because we would have either fixed the problems or at least had a solution to the problems right in the beginning. And then we're able to move forward, or say that it's not going to work until you do this, this, and this, and maybe come revisit it in 3 months. So
So what do you feel like currently, where like at what phase, or where do you feel deals are really getting stuck? And like
yeah,
you see a constant theme within deals getting stuck across the board.
in underwriting.
Okay.
And they get stuck in underwriting because the underwriter uncovers things that should have been uncovered on that initial call.
Got it. Got it. And
You see
so
what I'm saying? Because if they
yeah.
were qualifying questions asked in the beginning, you could have
Uh-huh.
overcame some of those problems early on before it
Uh-huh.
even got to underwriting, and fixed it maybe through an explanation letter or whatever the course would
Mhm.
be to take action on it and fix it. And we find that most bottlenecks happen about the second week as it's in underwriting. I mean, there's the things that we can't be in control of, right? Bad appraisal, or stuff wrong with the title, the chain of title on the property. There could be a lien that has nothing to do with anybody. But I can tell you that's the exception, not the rule. The
Mhm.
real rule of the problems and challenges that happen in the mortgage industry is in the underwriting, with things that should have been uncovered early on by someone asking the right, correct questions.
So what causes the most stress for your team then?
That,
That
because now you have to go back to the client, right, and say, hey, this isn't going to work. What are we going to do? You need to put more money down. No one wants to hear that because they don't have more money.
yeah. Yeah.
Like, we have what we
Completely
have, right?
understand.
So when you got to give that bad news or something comes up, I mean, listen, even if you aren't at fault for it, if it's a bad title, it's still an uncomfortable conversation to go back to your your realtor partner. These people are working to close the deal too, right? They get paid if the deal closes, not if it falls apart at the end. And then how much time did they
Yeah.
invest? The listing agent invested money in pictures for this house that's selling. There's a lot more than just time invested in this process too, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So why wouldn't you do a really good job on the front end to mitigate any of that?
Yeah.
And again, I'll beat it like a dead horse, right? The only way you do that is by getting real good at asking all the qualifying questions up front, and then figuring out solutions to any red flags that pop up in that
Mhm.
conversation to help your team out. Because if I put a
Yeah.
good, strong, solid deal in the pipeline, my team, it's going to go flow very easily through the system to
Mhm.
the closing date. If I put crap in, what do I get? Crap out.
Crap out. That's right.
Right. And
Yeah.
then what happens to everyone else that works within that company? Now their help people are bottlenecked by doing work on that bad file that went in, taking away from the people that are doing the job right. So a lot of the things that I'm doing right now is I'm cleaning house. If you
Yeah.
don't do it the right way, I'm looking at it, Jason, which you'll appreciate. Like, I want to create this environment like the 300 Spartans.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
love
don't
that.
need the million soldiers. I need 300 of the best. What do you guys do? Aru, aru, aru. Like, I want guys that wake up, they get on the phone, they ask the right questions. The teammates love them because the
Yeah.
file's going in. Now, that doesn't mean there's never going to be problems. There's going to be, but it's going to be an exception, not the rule. And what we find with a lot of companies and competitors that we're working with, the rule is the problems, and the exceptions are the good ones that go through. And yes, the problem ones close too, but not without a lot of problems. You
Yeah.
always hear they close, but everyone's stressed out. They're pulling their hair out. I'm never doing this again. Why? It shouldn't be. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be like that. It should be like,
Yeah.
if you want to move in 2 years, you shouldn't dread having to do another mortgage. I
Mhm.
mean, I only have to collect a small amount of documents, and I got to vet those out, and I have a storyline of what you're trying to do, and I want to make sure that you fit into the box that you're trying to fit in, and it shouldn't be a horrible experience. And that's where I think it needs to be corrected across the board. And the more companies that embrace a better streamlined process and a better line of communication, or as I should say, a better line of questioning on the front end, is going to make everybody's life, including the client, including the partners, and including you as a mortgage banker. I mean, I wouldn't want to be some of these bankers, man. I mean, you hear about these bankers, they're dropping dropping dead with stress. You know what I mean? Because it's a stressful job. Like, it's in my control to make it less stressful for you and for me. By me
Yeah.
asking right qualifying questions, I make my job a lot less stressful for you and
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
You're right. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Well, I mean,
the message.
talking about that, right? Less stressful. What do you feel you spend too much time doing manually in your business today?
Where do I find I'm spending too much time? Honestly, my too much time is I shouldn't ever be sitting at my desk.
Hmm.
And I am sometimes at my desk a lot. I should be on the road talking to different agents,
Hmm.
teaching them on different programs, teaching them how to be more productive.
Hmm.
I teach a lot of brokerages. I go in and I teach their agents on how to be more productive.
Hmm.
That's my highest rate of return, is out there educating clients, educating referral partners on how they could be more proficient and efficient in their business. And where I find myself doing things where I shouldn't be doing, I shouldn't be going through my emails. Like, to be honest, I can have someone go
Yeah.
through my emails. I like the stuff like that kind of holds me down, or any kind
Yeah.
of clerical part of our job that I may catch myself getting caught up in. The best use of my time is out there educating people,
Got it.
right? And that could, you know,
So if you had another 10 hours every week, where would you focus on spending that 10 hours?
which I am carving into, is learning AI, learning how these systems
Hmm.
can duplicate me, right?
Yeah.
Right now, we have some systems right now we're managing through email. We're managing our pipeline. I'm managing a lot through it. And I'm creating these AI agents for $250
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I'd have to pay someone 30, 40, 50 grand a month, a year,
To do
that I
that
can
before.
pay. I can learn how to use these systems. Now,
Yeah.
let me back that up, because this is where people get a little bit fuzzy. Now, I'm not replacing human beings, because I need a human being to manage these AI agents,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
but I can have one person at 30, 40 grand manage 5 or 6 AI agents
Yeah.
that are doing 5 times of their job.
Yeah.
I'm paying
Yeah.
once. That's the way I look at it. I'm never replacing humans, but I'm making each human 5 times more productive in their business. And that's
Got
what
it.
I'm doing on how to streamline the business, and having the stepping stones and the steps to where humans are managing the AI agents. And when we have to stay on top of this stuff, because
Mhm.
honestly, it's evolving so fast. I mean, we used to say things are evolving by the months,
Mhm.
where this is evolving by the hour. I mean, if you're not on top of this stuff, it's going to be different next week,
Yeah.
and you might miss something. So I think part of that extra time I need to do is like, how can I be very proficient at AI, and how can it help me in our business specifically, and how can I use these tools to enhance our outreach, if you will.
Yeah. So I completely get that. And here's where I want to kind of go a little bit deeper, right? Because when we can go deep and really figure out the problems and, a strategy in regards to, a solution to that problem, that's where I believe we begin to see exponential growth. So I'm going to ask you, do you feel as if like lead generation currently today, like where do you see that? Do you feel good about that? Would you like to see more? How do you feel as far as like lead gen goes within your business today?
Well, see, and this goes back, Jason, to where you are financially, right? Because when I first started, I didn't have a big pocketbook or a big wallet, right, to invest in, leads, and how to set up my SEO, and that. So I think, and I want to bring it back to the beginning. It's, if you're new, you got a prospect. What does that look like if you don't have a budget? That looks like setting up, using, and I'm giving you guys a lot of secrets here, right? Using the stuff you can get for free, right? Meaning you got your Facebook. Like, for our business, our industry, I've actually been closing loans on TikTok, but all the social media sites, Facebook has been the strongest. Facebook's a great platform for business to consumer, right? So if I was a new banker, what I tell all my new bankers is, I got 10,000 contacts in here. These are warm contacts. These are people I talked to at some point. So here's one. set of contacts that I can call through. Second is Facebook. I go through and I find real estate agents that I want to work with, right? I start liking their posts. I start commenting on their posts. Everyone's so focused on what they post.
Mm-hmm.
What you post means nothing. No one cares that much about me. No one, I mean, I do have my own little sitcom channel on Facebook, right? People tune in and they like my stuff and they like that, but people respond to people who react to what they post. So I'm very conscious about liking people's things and liking their family pictures and get a warm. Now I have a relationship with them without even having a relationship with them. They see my stuff. They're gonna actually start liking my stuff if I'm liking their stuff. They're just gonna do it. Law of reciprocity, right? They're gonna say, "Oh, I like that. Oh, he did something cool with his kids." Now, when I reach out to them, it's not a cold call; it's a warm call, right? Because I've been liking their stuff, commenting on their stuff. They like me because they like what I'm doing. They say, "Oh, this guy does cool things." I don't get into politics on Facebook. I don't get into arguing with anybody on anything. I don't jump into the fray giving my opinion. Who gives a crap about my opinion, to be honest, right? I mean, who am I? It's like when you see an actor talk about politics, you're like, bro, just act. We don't care what you think. But I would say use your social media stuff to your best because it's free. It's a free medium for you to use and connect with people. Hey, now if you start, what I would say is live lean. I live lean. I was just talking to my wife about this. I go up to my Worcester office probably once a month. Guess what I do? I do pretty well, guys. I make pretty good money. You know where I sleep? On my buddy's couch.
Yeah,
I want
exactly.
to spend that other money
Exactly.
on my pay ads.
Exactly.
I'm gonna say I'm only there to sleep. I could care less about getting a suite at the Ritz, for 3 nights, and I'm gonna show up back there at 10 o'clock at night and I'm out the door at 7 in the morning. I'm lean. I
Yeah.
live a lean life. People who know me, I buy my cars used. Be frugal, right?
Yeah.
Spend the money that can make you money. I put my money in things that will return me more money. I buy properties that's going to return me more money. I buy leads that's going to pay me more money. I don't go spend money on fancy dinners and drinks and all that crazy stuff. I'm ultra super focused on how can I add more value to people. I use the vehicles that I can. I use Facebook, TikTok. I use all the social medias for free because that's free. I used to spend $30,000 a month on radio ads back in the day. And I found if I can use a medium that I don't have to spend money on, I just got to work it. I got to wake up in the morning, like some people's posts, make some comments, especially people that I'm already working with and then people I want to work with, create this Uber relationship online with them before I get to physically meet them. And then you progress. You take the money you're making and saving and pour it back into your business. Maybe you start buying ads on Facebook. Maybe you start build your SEO up. Invest in you, invest in your business. You're always going to evolve. But if you're just a consumer who spends and spends and spends, you're never going to get ahead. You're just going to be keeping up with the Joneses and you're going to be broke and you're going to be chasing money all the time. I don't look at the money. I don't look at my bank account. I just do the things I have to do every day that I know is going to generate me more income at the end of the day.
So are you currently happy with your lead gen now, or would you like to see that grow?
Never happy, Jason. Never happy.
So
I'm not gonna be happy till total world domination.
Yeah,
so I'm number one in the world.
would you here's the thing though, right? Like you could get more leads, but if you got more leads, would you be able to handle those leads?
Yeah, so you always got to hire ahead. And that's the thing. That's a thing that most people don't recognize either, right? Like when I was first starting out, I didn't have an assistant. And I remember I was doing around 7-8 loans a month, which was good in our industry back then. This is when I hired Julie, and I'm like, I'm actually self-sabotaging my business because I don't want more business because I don't like doing the clerical stuff. So I remember I went to my brother and I said, John, I'm going to hire an assistant to help me because I think I can triple my business, right? I wasn't doing enough business at 7 loans a month. I could do all the work. I really could. And you can. But I said, if I want to get to 20 loans a month, I need somebody to offload this clerical stuff so I can go out and stay in the production mode. So I would tell people, always hire ahead. So you're going to be broke, but you don't ever want to get to the point where you have too much and now you start doing bad business, right? You can't perform at the highest level for your clients or your referral partners. You got to invest in your business up front. So if you feel like you're getting a little bit, like if I was a banker and I'm doing 4 to 5 loans a month, I'm thinking about bringing on an assistant
Mhm.
then so I can get to the 10 a month. It's going to
Got
put
you.
me out a little bit of money. I'm going to go backwards
Yep.
for 60 to 90 days, but that's how you grow. You got to
Mhm.
stretch yourself, right? To come back. Now you're here. Stretch yourself. Now you're to here. Stretch yourself. You see? So that stretching moments are the painful moments. And that's where, Jason, I think you and I agree on, that's faith.
For sure.
You got to take a little bit of walk in faith because
Yep.
you're going to have to let go of some money, right? You're going to have to let go of something that you think is yours. I mean, none of it's ours at the end of the day, really. And if we want to grow, you got to spend, and you got to be methodical on it. And now, Jason, there is not a better time for people with AI to get information.
Yeah.
I put my medical records into AI, and it gives me a better report on the medical records that I have than I get from my doctor. So if you're looking for information on how to
Yeah.
be the best real estate agent, you can create a coach on your chat GPT to help you be the best. It's going to hunt everything online, find it for you, and tell you what you got to do step by step. There's never been an easier time to be successful,
Yeah.
but you're not
You're
going to be
exactly
if you
right.
don't use it.
Exactly. So, you know, talking about that, so the 10 hours every week that you would spend we spoke a lot of different things right there. I'm gonna ask you, is it lead gen, follow-up, staffing, technology, regulations, and compliance? Is it finding qualified buyers? Out of those issues, where would you find you would really wanna spend? And the reason why I'm pointing those out is because you could pick one of those items,
I
right?
know that's so hard. It's so hard. I mean, again, for me, it's always going to go back to what is going to produce income
So it would probably
at
be
the end
what,
of the day.
finding qualified buyers, or would it be
Finding
lead
how are we going to
generation?
find the best qualified leads or buyers in the market for the least amount of money? Or even if it's
Got
the
it.
most amount of money, but what are we going to get the highest return on? Or the
Mhm,
best? It doesn't have to be the highest, but the best
mhm,
return on. Meaning I could go out and get a ton of leads and spend the money, and then the crappy leads, and I got to shuffle 1 through 100 of them to get one. Or I can spend a little bit more and get 20 and get three, right?
mhm,
So my whole thing is like how income producing activities is always going to come first in me. Compliance and regulations, I can pay someone to do that for me for short money. If I take my time to go get all that information all the time, even though I'm reading it and I'm
mhm,
looking it up, but if I go dedicate 10 hours a week in compliance and
mhm.
that's costing me $30.
Exactly.
I'm working for $30 an hour. That makes no sense to someone in my shoes. Now, that doesn't mean that works for everybody. That maybe
Mhm.
someone else, that's what it works for. For me, if I'm spending 10 hours extra a week, it's going to be on what is going to be my highest and best use of my time to produce more income for the company.
Got it.
And in our business, it's going to be bringing more buyers, people looking to refi, maybe consolidate debt, looking for people who need to mortgage,
Mhm.
however it is. Could be buying, and it could be buying investment. It could be investors. It could be people looking to refi to consolidate debt. So that's
Yeah.
where I'm going to put my extra 10 hours
So
and
so
time every
so if
time.
so if I gave you a magic wand and you could eliminate one problem from your business forever, what would that be?
One problem, what would I eliminate? What one problem would I eliminate out of my business? This is going to sound harsh,
Okay. It's
but it's
okay.
real.
This is real, man.
It's
It's real.
real.
That's what we want. We want
Real
real,
talk.
right? Because people are gonna hear this, and there's gonna be other
Yeah.
people that are dealing with the same things.
Not allowing people to waste my time that don't deserve my time. And that includes employees, that includes partners, that includes everybody.
Yeah.
No one went to disconnect and cut it off. I find more of my
Yeah. Got it.
and that's probably limited beliefs from having a father leave me. That's a whole other conversation, like stuff that I had to work through my whole life, which I believe many people have, both men and women. They have limited beliefs from the way they were grown up, and they allow people to take advantage of them. And I know that I've done that throughout my career, and it's actually held me back. So it's really liberating when you can look at someone and say, you know what, this isn't working out, regardless if you're being counting the money. So right now we're in a cleansing period, even in our company, to where if you're not going to do the tasks that I need you to do, and then it's always going to revert back to challenges and problems that's affecting everyone else within our team, then I have to let you walk.
Yeah. So what have you?
And
So what do you do to solve these? Or you just cut them off, or how do you solve those
yeah,
issues?
just have a real conversation with them. It's maybe we're not a fit, and I listen. No ill will.
Yeah.
I'm at a place, and I've been at a place for a long time that, listen, if we have to separate our relationship and our working relationship, doesn't mean I don't want the best for you. I care for you, but now you're you're interfering with my peace in the way that I know we have to run this business. And we've walked down the road to try to correct it in many different ways and ways to do it, and we're not doing it. So we have to just move on our own separate ways. Doesn't mean I want anything bad to happen to you. I want you to be where you're comfortable. Obviously, we're not a good fit. And that could be an employee, that could be a referral partner, that could be a client. I fire clients, I fire partners all the time now. The one thing I got to do better at is firing people that work for me. If they don't want to uphold to the standards that we want to uphold, that I demand on myself, I'm never going to ask someone to do something I'm not doing myself. Right. And if you don't want to live up to the standards and rise above the standards that we have set, and you're working underneath it, I have to be okay with letting you go. So that's something that it's hard, right? You have relationships with people, and you don't want that fear of rejection. But this comes down to what's best for the business, what's best for my peace of mind, what's best for the clients that we work with, what's best for our partners that we work with. Do I want anyone that's going to hurt us from working at 100% capacity? Because all we have is 100%. If I have someone putting a 30% in the capacity of my team, and they're not looking to self-correct, whether it's a client, a referral partner, or an employee, I have to cut you out. And you should do the same in your business. And it's not easy. It's a very hard thing, especially, I don't like to hurt people's feelings, but it's not about feelings at this case. It's like, we got to set a bar. You got to set a standard, and everyone's going to meet that standard, whatever that looks like to you. Your personal standard, right? Are you going to allow people to call you at 11 o'clock and threaten you if you don't answer the phone at 11 o'clock at night, that they're not going to do business with you? Sayonara. Maybe we're not a great fit, right? Yeah. If you can't respect me and my boundaries, we're not. It doesn't mean I don't like you. It doesn't mean I don't wish you the best. We're just not a good fit. That's it.
So in that, what has worked for you and what has completely failed when you're dealing with these particular situations?
Well, volume always helps with this, Jason. Right? But you got to get there, right?
Exactly.
Like, I get a lot of volume coming in, I can tell you we're not a good fit easily.
Yeah, exactly.
How does that work for somebody that doesn't have a lot of volume? Because that's probably speaking to you too.
Yeah.
Act as if.
Yeah.
Act as if. Because you know what? Those people are going to do nothing but drag you down.
Yeah.
It feels almost like you can't do that because you're going to lose. There's so much freedom in it. You release it, you're going to level up anyways. You just freed up your mental bank, right? All that stuff that's like weighing you down, these unhealthy relationships. Let's not say bad. These unhealthy relationships that you're allowing to be in your life that are not up to your standard of what you want to do, you have to cut them out. I don't care if you're doing a lot. For me, I'm at a point now that I have the volume and I make the money. I could say we're not a good fit to work with. But I did that before I had the money. To be honest, I did. I especially the one place I didn't do a good enough job with that is my employees. And that's something I'm working on now. I'm committed to creating an environment for my clients, my referral partners, that when they come to us, everyone works at a standard of excellence that's above and beyond the competition. And I can't have any loose ends in there. You know that, Jason.
Yeah.
You're a Marine Corps sniper. If you had one weak link on your team out in the field, what does that do to you guys?
Yeah. It drags you down for sure.
What do you do to them?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
cut them out, right? I mean, you're in a life or death situation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You're right.
We're kind of in a life or death situation. This is how we support our
Yeah.
families.
Exactly.
This is how people either close on their home loans, right? Or they don't, or now they're homeless. So if I got people that are doing a bad job on the back end on my company, we're hurting those people. And what's that doing? That's bad information on the street. They don't care that it's not Chris Galli that did my loan. It's Novus. It's Novus Home Mortgage. They messed up my loan, which then puts me under that umbrella. So I have a responsibility to everyone else who is doing an excellent job on my team to not let those bad apples or bad actors remain on the team.
Yeah. Well, what do you think has failed that maybe you made a decision on and it just didn't work out?
When you ask, what do you mean by that?
You understand what works, right, in your business. What have you done or in your business that maybe you tried to do that maybe didn't go the way that you planned it?
I got some. Yeah. So I changed about a year and a half ago. I used to try to get, I won't call it cheap labor. I try to, for example, we hire loan partners. They're kind of assistants to our loan officers. And what I used to do is I used to pay them a low salary, right, to protect me on the front end and a higher bonus per closing. What we found is I turned that model around to pay them high on the salary and a smaller bonus. And I hire slow and fire fast. So the people that I brought on my team over the last couple of years are rock stars on the operations side. I pay them more than most people pay them, but they want to keep their job. So for example, if I'm paying an assistant staff member $45,000 and they're making $250 alone, so they're still making $70,000 a year, it's really good money, right? Or maybe they're making $80,000 a year. They don't think about the bonus money. They like, oh, I only make $40,000 a year. In their heads, subconsciously, they're thinking, I only make $40,000, even though I'm paying them 80. But that set salary's at 40. And that's really what we used to do. It was like $50,000 a year plus big bonuses. They would make 80 to $100,000 a year. They still, but they never thought of, I'm only making 50, which is still industry standard. I decided to pay upwards 65, 75, depending on where they're at, right? I'm going to pay a higher standard. They never want to leave me, even though maybe they're making a little bit more, but that front end set number is their value is there. And they're showing me by their way they work. These guys will work, they on their time off, I see them go online and work. I mean, I got soldiers that are working for the clients and really doing a thing. So what I do now is in the process I put them through to get hired, Jason, I mean, they go through 4 rounds of people. Because I'm a sucker. What I used to do, this guy sounds great. I'm the easiest person to sell. I'm interviewing you, Jason, you and me. You're on your best behavior on this interview. I'm going to love you, man. You're going to tell me all the things I need to hear. I'm going to be like, you're hired. And I've done that. And I hired them. I never put them through a process. Now what we do is I hire one of the top national processing and assistant trainers in the country. I pay her a substantial amount of money up front to screen my people. If they get through me, I make them do a 3-minute video. I make them do a disc assessment. And I make them answer a 2-page sheet questions. Now, listen to me. I know they're using AI to answer them, probably, because I probably would. But I don't care. It's about, do you follow instructions? Will you take the time to answer the questions? Will you take the time to shoot the 2-minute video I want you to do? Will you do the disc assessment? That will probably take you 15 to 20 minutes to do. Now, if you're going to do those things for me, now I get people that come to our thing because I'm always looking for new hires.
Yeah.
If you don't do those 3 things, I don't even look at you. I don't care how good you are in the business. I don't care if you're the top person in the world, because you know what you're telling me? You can't even follow instructions from me now. So I put them through this rigorous process. I look at that. I have a conversation. They go through Irene. Then if they make it through Irene, they go to Julie, who runs all our ops. If they make it through Julie, then I put them through my business coach I pay 50 grand a year for, and his team. So when people work with us, I know who's working on their files. These people are my ride or dies.
Yeah.
And I hire right and I hire slow. And if you're not cutting the mustard, I'm learning how to fire you fast and move you out the door.
So are there any like technologies or systems you're currently considering to help you with that process?
Well, we do. We use one called Wise Hire that manages all the influx of people coming in. So I don't give them all these things to do. The system does. So once they put their resume in, it prompts them to hit all these different things automatically. So whether that's AI driven or what, I mean, we're using a system that will put them through this process. So all I got to do is go in and look at who did it.
Yeah. So what happens if you don't solve these issues? What could happen to your business if you didn't solve these issues?
Well, like right now, I mean, I'm at a point where we're not quite at the point to hire someone because we're about maybe 10 loans a month behind it, but I have to start looking now because we got to hire ahead. You got to hire ahead of your problems. So I'm always looking as we're expanding and growing to bring on the people ahead of time. So I'm not running from the behind, right? I'm not chasing and scrambling. We don't want to ever scramble. And that we do that so we can best serve our clients, our referral partners, and everyone else. I have to hire ahead. So putting the systems in place to run the people through is very important.
And not having this system, how much growth is being left on the table
if you don't have the system, I mean, think about it. One bad deal, one misstep will cost you 5 deals because you got somebody out there beating a drum saying how bad you suck.
Yeah.
They're not out there beating the drum on how great you are as much as you think they are. But let me tell you this, if you do something wrong, they're telling everybody. They're not telling everybody when you're doing it right. They might, after you beg them, they might go on Google and give you a review after you send them the link 20 times. And you did a great job. You do it wrong, they're telling everybody.
Yeah. So I'm just going to kind of circle back. We don't have to go into like massive details because I think we've kind of spoke a little bit about this, but I want to bring it back so that people can remember in this episode some of the key elements that you were talking about, which is what separates top producing lenders from everyone else.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think discipline and routine.
Got it.
Process.
And what daily habits have you contributed to your success?
Well, I'm a little bit off base right now, but I can tell you what I've done my whole life is I get up super early. Right. I get up 4 a.m. I get into the Bible. I do my gratitude. I could just look outside and I'm grateful for living here. That's just me. I mean, I wake up and clear my mind on that. I read a little bit of the Bible and I read a little bit of my self-help books, whatever it is I'm learning. I think right now we're reading The Psychology of Money. I try to read a book a month. These are disciplines. Then, which I'm a little bit off, I'm working out like 3 days a week. You got to understand, I coming off an Ironman a couple of years ago, I was working out 7 days a week. So any kind of working out I'm doing doesn't feel like I'm doing enough. But you have to take care of yourself. I can't take care of anyone. I can't take care of myself if I'm not taking care of myself. One, I can't take care of my family, right? If I'm not in shape and I'm not healthy, and I can't take care of other people. I mean, it's like going to a doctor who's super out of shape. I'm looking at him like, how are you going to tell me advice on how I should do good? You look like crap, right? I mean, so really, I think the regiment status would be like waking up in the right attitude, setting your day up. For me, it's, reading the Bible, doing my prayers, doing my moments of gratitude, reading something, putting something into my brain that's going to help me get better at whatever it is I'm focusing on for that time, right? For that part of time for me that month. And then 2, set up the right processes and time blocking your calendar. What we've done is color code our calendar. So, income producing activities are green. I want to see my days filled with green, whether it's a meeting with a referral partner, a client call, all these income producing, doing a webinar for, a brokerage. These are income producing activities. And then, I color code red in the things that are costing me money.
Yeah.
things that I got to do, right? Maybe there's some things. And then there's family time, right? You need
Yeah.
to have a balance of making
Sure.
sure you're there with your family.
For sure.
So I think if I was somebody that wanted to teach somebody on how to be productive, it would be time blocking and really making sure you have some good blocks on your calendar that produce income. If you're any kind of an entrepreneur or you're running a business, what runs your business? Income producing activities, whatever that looks like for you in your business. And then making sure you have a very well balanced, if you're a family person and you have a family, you have kids and you have a wife,
Mhm.
you want to make sure that you have your pockets of time every day for them. I changed everything in 2014, 15, that my family came first. I didn't miss games. I mean, very randomly am I out of town where I will miss something, because you know what? That's what's going to pay off. At the end of the day, my thing is my relationship with my wife and my kids. That's money will come and go, Jason. And it took me up until that was in my late 30s when I realized that. Like
Mhm.
38, I said I have to make some massive changes, because the most important thing is my family.
Yeah.
Right. I want to have a relationship with my kids someday. I want them to want to hang out with me. And I'm seeing the fruits of that now. I
Mhm.
mean, some people have seen some videos of my son that he talks about me, and I could actually almost cry thinking about it, saying it right now, that, he talks about how much he enjoys being with me. I mean, that you could put $10 million on my desk right now, and it would never amount to what that feeling is, to know that my family, what they think of me. So I think setting your priorities and managing it in a way that you can be very productive, right?
Mhm.
Focusing on those income producing activities, focusing on your family, delegating the things that you can take off of your plate as the time comes, the right time comes. You might not be in a financial position to offload stuff. Do it one step at a time. Live lean so you can take that little bit of extra money to offset something that's going to make you bounce up. So it's the whole playbook, my friend, a whole playbook.
Yeah, and if you could give advice, in a short term of how do you build trust with your clients, what would it be?
Repeat that question.
Yeah, how do you build trust with clients? If you could give advice to somebody that's in this industry, what is the one thing that you have been able to capture that really builds trust with clients?
Now, this sounds cliche, Jason. That's a great question, in the sense that what I found
Mhm,
is it's all about care, right? People, my clients know I care about them on that first call. I'm going to explain it why. When I sit there and I ask all these qualifying questions, understanding their whole situation, why they're looking to buy, I want to know everything. I want to know why they're looking to buy. Are they looking to upgrade their house? Are they looking to downsize their house? I'm taking the care to ask all these questions so I can create a case for them. It shows I care.
mhm,
There's so many people that don't do that on the front end. Let me send you my link and fill it out, and I'll look it over, and
mhm,
we'll have a follow-up call. No, right out of the gate, if somebody calls me and has their 20 to 30-minute conversation with me, and the competition calls them, say they're a cold lead, they weren't even someone that knew me. They have a conversation with me, and then they talk to the next guy who shoots them the link and says, "Oh yeah, we can help you. I can get you 5%." Even if they tell them some crazy, ridiculous rate without even asking them any qualifying questions, my clients will always say to you, "He took the time. He
mhm,
cared. He understood my whole situation." And I genuinely do care, because I can't do my job. I can't do the best I can for you unless I ask you all these qualifying questions and I understand your whole situation. I need to understand what you want to pay a month. If I'm not asking you,
mhm,
I'm just giving you the pre-approval based on what you're pre-approved for based on your income. It might not match up what you want to pay a month. You might be
mhm,
qualified for a $5,000 a month payment and you only want to make a $2,500 a month payment. But if I didn't take the time and care to ask you those qualifying questions, what am I doing for you? Right?
mhm,
I'm not
mhm,
serving you. I need to serve you. I need to understand exactly what you're trying to do. And I need to come up with those solutions for you. So I think my clients would tell you, Chris takes the time to ask. He asked me a ton of questions. And then he explained why he was asking me the questions. I just don't ask you questions. I don't say, do this because I told you so. I say, do
mhm,
this because this is why we need this. We need this because of this. So taking the care and the time, and I generally do care. I mean, I don't think I'd be where I am in this business if it was just for the money, right?
Yeah.
I can make
Yeah.
money doing anything. I know I can make money doing anything, right? I really, truly enjoy working with people. I enjoy helping them buy the place that they're going to find their solace in, right? Raise their families in, and make memories, lasting memories forever. And I'm so grateful that I get to play a role in that, and a massive role, because I'm giving you the money to do it. So if I'm the one that's going to help you with your biggest transaction of your life, I better care, and I better take the time to ask you all the questions I need to make sure I'm doing a great job for you. And that's what I hope, and I pray that's what my clients would say and
Mhm.
feel about what I do, because that's what I do try to do.
Yeah. And so being a seasoned mortgage lender, what advice would you give someone entering the mortgage industry today who's like green around the ears, has no just trying to learn the process?
Yeah, buckle up.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I would say to them is like, I would ask that person, same thing when they come to me, why do you want to do this business? I'm going to ask them a lot of questions,
Mhm.
like to really find out where their heart is. If you're doing this for the money, go do something else. Because
Yeah.
this isn't going to be a really rewarding business if you're doing it for the money, because it's very emotional, right?
Mhm.
We're going to dig in deep to find out why you're doing it. But if you're doing it for the right reasons, listen, find yourself a mentor that's going to teach you how to do it the right way, and with care, because it's a massive responsibility in helping someone with such a huge transaction in their life. I mean, everything weighs on it. This is where, again, you could be homeless if it doesn't go right, right? You could have sold a house and it's sold, and now you have nowhere to go. So if you're going to embrace this type of a business, make sure that you are a sponge and you go out there and learn as much as you can on how to, first, more than anything in the programs and stuff, learn how to care for people,
Mhm.
learn how to ask right qualifying questions, and really the psychology of understanding the needs of somebody. Because sometimes somebody might tell me that their needs is something that I don't think is right for them. Right. So sometimes you gotta course correct for somebody, right? And that's
Mhm.
important too. Knowing when to say, maybe that I don't, let me tell you why this might not be right for you, or that property might not be right for you. What you told me
Mhm.
is you need to be close to this. You only got one car, and you need to be close to, you know, the store and stuff like this. Like, you've got to be able to be very empathetic, right? Be
Mhm.
empathetic, care, and it's not about the money. You can make a really great. I mean, I've seen a lot of people in this industry make a lot of money, which is great. But again, you're gonna want to love what you do. I would always
Yeah.
tell people, if you're gonna do something, make sure you try to do something that you like to do. Right? Don't do it
Exactly.
for the money.
For sure. For sure. So, all right, here's a lightning round. You ready? I'm going to ask you
I'm
quick
ready, man. Let's
questions.
go.
Here
Fire
you go.
away.
What's your favorite book? Business book. Business book.
Well, listen. I'm a Christian, so when I say this, it's gonna. All right, I got two, but I'm going to say the one that's going to be politically correct for my fellow Christians out there, because you can
Yeah.
obviously see one in the background that I like.
Yeah. Yeah.
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Got it.
How to Win Friends and Influence
Influence
People.
people.
I would
That's a
tell
good book.
everybody,
That's a good book. I've read that book. That's a great book.
you can read it again and again and again. It's an easy read, and it's really about how to develop good, long-lasting relationships and caring.
Mhm.
And I think if you're going to be in any kind of a sales or a consultant type of a business, it's a great book.
Okay. What is your favorite leadership quote?
I don't know what my favorite leadership quote is. You
It's
put
all
me
right.
on a spot on that
It's
one.
all right. It's all right.
I
I
mean, I don't know what a quote would be, but if I think about leadership and I think I want to be a leader, what I would consider is lead from the front.
You know
And
what you
I've
know what
always,
quote you know what quote I think about when I think about you, Chris?
tell me.
The Man in the Arena, bro, by Teddy Roosevelt.
I love that. I mean, again, it's the guy
Yeah.
that's going to take the hits, man. And I
Yeah.
want to be the type of leader that people will say, you know what? I want to be in that foxhole with Chris. I have a really good friend from Boston. He's 77 years old, one of my mentors. And that's been our quote since I was 18, and he mentored me. You're going to be the kind of guy that people want to be in a foxhole with. And I've lived that my whole life. I'm going to be the
Mhm.
guy that takes the hits. The challenge is, is letting people hang on that won't reciprocate that. So that's been a lifelong battle with me, is like picking the right people that deserve that from you. So as a leader, you got to be discerning, but yeah, lead from the front, man in the arena. I want to be the last man standing, man. That's the way I'm going to be. I'm not getting knocked down, bro.
Exactly.
I've been knocked down a lot of times, but I never stay down.
That's right. That's right. So what's one technology you can't live without?
Well, now it's, specific technology would be Claude or Chat. I was Chat GBT. I use it for everything at this point. If I'm looking for any information, that's my go-to. And it's been helping me set up a lot of things.
What's one thing every entrepreneur should stop doing? If you say one word, just say one word.
Doing everything.
Got it. Okay. And what should every entrepreneur should start doing?
Delegating.
Got it. Awesome. So here's my last question. If someone listening today could take one lesson away from this conversation, what would you want it to be?
Get your priorities right with everything, right? From your business, to your family, to your business, to even your relationship with God. For me, it's God, but get your pillars, if you will, in line, and then get your time blocking. So that would be my advice, is like, just get really linear on what's important, the most important, and then file it down.
Awesome. So where can people find you, connect with you, learn more about your business? I'd like to put a plug in for you on that.
Yeah, so they can go to thegallyteam.com. We have a really great website, thegallyteam.com. You can find me on every social media platform, right? Facebook, TikTok, Chris Galli. YouTube, I think we're the Galli. I'm going to tell you what that is real quick, because I want to start pointing people to my YouTube channel. That's one of my goals for this upcoming year, is to really dial that in. And that would be Mortgage Matters with the Galli Llama.
Awesome. I love that. The Galli Llama. And you have a podcast too, don't you? The podcast.
I do have a podcast.
Yeah.
And those are a lot of them are on my YouTube channel. So you can go back. There's a lot of great content on there. We talk to a lot of realtors, a lot of professionals in different business spaces. So there's a lot of good stuff on there. A lot of good stuff that's outside of just even mortgages, but just life and business in general.
Awesome. So you got it, guys. Go to his YouTube, go to his Facebook, find out where he's at on his website. We'll put it on the video as well. And Chris, thanks again for joining us, man. You gave a lot of great nuggets that I believe a lot of people can get value from. And I just appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate you giving me the time too. I appreciate you, and you're one of my confidants. You're one of my four of the four horsemen in my life, man, that I lean on. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you too. And guys, if you want to learn more, again, we'll have a lot more episodes here in the future, different industries, different aspects of trying to cover these issues and trying to collaborate to find the solutions to the problems that we face every single day. If you don't think you're facing problems in your business, I'm going to call you a liar, because every business is facing some type of problem that they need to find a solution to. So again, thanks for joining the Real Biz Solution podcast. Till next time.
Thanks, man.
Okay, let's go.